Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start off a little bit of a personal question. Are you content? In let's say between your balance between business and let's say your religious or spiritual growth. Obviously, everyone is looking to grow and to get better to some capacity, but do you feel content?
It's a good question. I would say my initial answer as you were asking the question was you can never be content, but you kind of said it before that, there's obviously always room to grow. My answer would probably be that I am not content, partly at my fault and partly because of just the situation that I'm in. I run a business. I'm a father, and my wife is a night shift nurse. So, but with all of that together, it definitely adds a lot of challenge and friction when it comes to balancing the business and also my religious growth. I would say I don't think, because of my schedule and because of my wife's schedule, I lose out on a lot of opportunities to grow, after work, let's say, which adds an extra layer of challenge for me to be able to find some sort of stable, growth path in my religious life. It's kind of all over the place. I got fittings, I got meetings, I have this, I have that, and a lot of it comes up pretty spontaneously. I mean, even this podcast, I was supposed to be busy today in Brooklyn for a whole bunch of suit fittings, but then everything got shifted over to tomorrow, like last minute, and that's when we decided to meet today. And that's basically like a little summary of the schedule that I have as being a one-man band in my business. So I would say I'm not satisfied, but part of it is also just due to my situation.
Got it. I think that everyone has a situation. Like I think it's easy to just say like, oh, like I'm like my situation is unique, but maybe everyone else is doing great. Like what I notice a lot personally around me is maybe this veil that everyone kind of wears of um I'm like doing great and I'm either in the workforce, I'm an employee, maybe I'm a creator, I'm an entrepreneur, I run a business, and I'm also making time and setting aside time for Torah. The story that always plays in my head is calling your Rebbe from yeshiva after a year or two, and they ask you, "Oh my God, how you doing? Like, what are you up to? You still making time for learning?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, Rav, like always, yeah." But like, and like, I think it's beyond maybe just that kind of relationship. I think it's something that everyone struggles with. This is actually really like the core of the show is kind of on the one hand, the question is what is the balance? What does balance mean? But also, um, you know, like how do we push ourselves to be better while also giving us grace? So
Yeah,
how much do you think you give yourself grace, and how much do you think you are like constantly pushing yourself? And is that a healthy push? Do you think
religiously or business or
religiously?
both.
Let's say for now.
So
We'll get to the business soon.
religiously, yeah. So I think, and this is getting vulnerable. I think religiously, I give myself too much grace. Um, you know, as you just said, everyone has situations, and it's so true. I've spoken about it on LinkedIn on one of my posts a month or two ago, more in the business world, not the religious world, but the same thing applies. I give myself a little bit too much grace. When you're in your life, not when you're sitting back like we are now and talking about it, and you could kind of realize things. But when you're actually in the daily grind, uh, everything seems less manageable. I would say
Hmm.
when you're in the middle of so
Yeah,
many things. Um, which number one, I'm actually really happy to be on this podcast because this is actually going to help me grow as a person.
I hope so.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, 100%. I told my wife that I was joining this podcast, and she's like, "Oh, maybe this will like help you reflect even more." And I'm like, "Yeah, hopefully." Um, but yeah, I think I give myself too much grace because in the moment I'm just like, I can't learn right now because I got this client that's waiting to hear back from me, but then I got to go pick up a suit for my tailor over here, and then I got to go drop off this, and then on top of that I got to go pick up my kid because my wife has night shift. and I just say like, what am I supposed to do? You know? But now that we're talking about it, it definitely is too much grace. And there are times to not just fit in, but to prioritize things outside of business and outside of life where you can actually grow and actually, develop an even stronger foundation religiously. So yeah, this is actually a good reflection point.
Beautiful. I love the way you said that. It's too much grace. Like I think that's like actually a good way of saying it. Is like a little grace is fine. Like a little grace is good for you. I want to shift focus for a second. What is life having? I mean, my wife and I just had a baby 8 weeks
Mazel tov.
ago now. Thank you. Mazel tov to you too. I mean, I don't know when you guys had your baby. What? How old is your baby
Yeah,
now?
my son's 14 months. It's been a little
14
bit.
months. Oh wow. Okay, fine. So let's talk about that for a little bit because I think that's really an interesting viewpoint. Because I know when we had our son Shia 8 weeks ago, like up until maybe around now, I got very little like religious worth, like religious growth done or completed or like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
so what has your experience been like? I guess as a new father, I guess a year, 14 months. I think it's still
still
pretty
relatively
new,
new.
pretty chadash.
Yeah.
What would you say? What has been the impact on, let's say, your business? Has it improved? Has it? I guess has it improved your ability to focus and to push yourself because it's like, oh, I have a family, or do you feel like practically it's been more of a challenge?
So I'll break it down in a few different ways. So it's a fascinating thing, and I'm sure other people have experienced this. Maybe not, but when I started my business, I was in college, and I was learning in yeshiva, morning seder and night seder. So it was so easy.
Right.
I had my learning, I had my classes, I had my learning again, and then I would do fittings, and I would run around. It was a crazy schedule, but I never actually had to consciously worry about setting aside time to learn because it was a requirement. I loved it. It was the best few years, learning besides for being in yeshiva in Israel. Um, but I never, that's one big mistake I made was I never consciously had to choose to learn because it was just right there. But when I graduated and we moved out of Washington Heights and I moved out of yeshiva and I started working full time on my business, and then we had, my son. So there, I never was trained, or I never trained myself to consciously look for opportunities to learn while dealing with a busy schedule, if that makes sense. And
No.
then
Yeah.
yeah, so then once I had my kid, it was the most interesting thing. So before I had my kid, I was learning a lot and I was developing learning skills and I was growing closer through learning physical Torah. But I never grew in my, let's say, Emunah and non-physical reading and learning Torah, you know, in general. I wasn't really growing in that sense. I would get inspired and I would, enjoy it, and I would feel closer to Hashem through learning and through living a Torah life. But once I had my kid, it really flipped because then I was crazy busy, as you're really still in the newborn stage.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have time to physically sit down for morning seder and a night seder and chavrusas because you never know what your schedule is going to be. But my Emunah and my absolute awe with Hashem and how the world works and how everything works, it skyrocketed and it continues to grow now with the son. So it's so interesting. So I don't learn consistently like I should be. I'm being fully honest. I don't learn consistently like I should be, whether that be, bad time management on my end and also just extra responsibility. So I can't have that, Seder that I'm so used to. But the Emunah and the seeing how the world works on a totally different, it's like a different channel. It's like I literally changed the channel on a TV where it's like, oh my God, like after every appointment that we went to, when my wife was pregnant, I said to the doctor and I said to my wife, I'm like, how can you not believe in God when you see this?
Right.
They turns on a screen and you see a baby, right? And it's like, and every time you go back, it's bigger and it has new features and it's growing. And then you have the baby, you're holding the child in your arms and you're like, what? Like, that's crazy. And ever since I had that moment, I remember when my wife gave birth, I just like, some people cry, some people get, nervous and faint. And my reaction, I just like froze out of just like, what in the world? I've never, like, until you have a kid, you never experience that type of feeling, right? You can have shocking moments, you could have your life saved, crazy situations, but there's something about having your own child where you're just like what,
I
how,
couldn't agree more. What do
yeah.
you think? What do you think having a child? What effect do you think having a child has had on your business?
Only good things, I would say. uh
Okay.
I definitely push myself more now that I am, earning for my family and building a future for my family and my child and, God willing, future children. Um, so it pushes me to work harder and hustle harder. Uh, the nature of my business requires a ton of hustle because I'm traveling a lot to people's homes and offices at all different hours. I've made suits at 1 a.m. and I've made suits at 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. It's all over the place, and it really requires a lot of hustle. But what I tell myself when I have that opportunity, if someone says, "Hey, I'm free tonight at 11 o'clock at night," but he's willing to buy a few suits, I'm like, how can I say no? Right.
Right.
I like,
It's
so
money in the
instead of,
bank.
yeah, it's money in the bank. And instead of sitting and watching the last few innings of the Yankee game, I'm going to that fitting, and it's brutal. It's an hour drive, a 45-minute drive, an hour and a half drive, whatever it may be. So it definitely pushes me more. It gives me that extra little, fire under my tuchus to get going.
Right.
Um, it obviously has challenges, especially because my wife has to leave to her shifts. It's 3 times a week. She has to leave by 5 p.m. So that's 3 days a week where I have to go pick up my kid from babysitting and I have to drop him off in the morning. So that shrinks my day massively. And then my wife's not home at night. So I have to stay home while my kid is sleeping. So, it definitely holds me down scheduling wise, but on the flip side, the positives outweigh the negatives by a lot.
I think something you and I have in common is that we have a pretty I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know what your what your day really looks like. I know for myself that having zero structure to my business model, because I could either be filming on a certain day, I can either be editing. If I'm behind on a few projects, I know I need to be like working extra hard and working later nights. Um, and that's something I've also been thinking about, and I'm wondering, going back to like this feeling of like a lack of balance, of I'm not doing enough religiously as a result of me pursuing success in my business. I'm not sure that it has to do with a lack of structure. I think a little bit, meaning when we were in yeshiva, there was structure. When you were in Turo, you said in Landers,
Why?
YU, sorry, there was structure. Um, and it's just like how how to create your own structure and how to make your own structure. And you think it'd be, if you're so driven to be so successful, you would, do a good job. But it's obviously not as easy. So I guess maybe walk me through a little bit of what that experience is like, of as an entrepreneur and a business owner trying to create structure, or maneuvering around a less structured business model, and how that maybe affects your family life and how that affects your religious growth.
Yeah. So you hit the nail on the head because another vulnerable moment, my biggest weakness, and this is just a personality thing, I've always been this way. My biggest weakness is time management. I'm sure there
Hmm.
are a lot of people that are like that. I think
Me
it's
too.
also in the nature of men to be less, skilled in time management than
I'm
women
sure
are.
our wives can agree to that. Yeah,
Exactly. We should create a therapy group, wives of,
literally.
of poorly time managing
It'll
husbands.
just be all the men.
um, so yeah, it's my biggest weakness, like by far. And I hear about it all the time, and I see the consequences of it too. And I try to learn from it and get better. But I think, like I mentioned it before, that time management, I think, is when we're talking about giving too much grace. I think that's where I give myself a little bit too much grace. I think I definitely have to be managing my time better in the sense of structure, as good as it could be in my schedule, because of the nature of what I do is just so all over the place. If I had a store where I had open hours, it would be probably much easier. But a lot of my clients love the fact that it's not a storefront and that I go to them. So it gets me more customers. It's I guess, a better differentiator between me and a lot of my competition. But the downside is that I lose the ability to really time stamp my day consistently. And I've only really been navigating this type of life for a year and a half, 2 years since I graduated. So it's still relatively new to me. Have I gotten better? Yes, I've definitely gotten better, but there's a lot more room to grow. So the way I navigate it now is I try my absolute best to structure my day. So whether that be the night before or before the week starts, I try, and I'm this sounds great, and I don't do it so well all the time, but this is what I aspire to do at least now at this point in my life, is I try to say, what can I structure in my day for the next day or week, whatever it is? Like what are the things that I know are going to be structured? Let me put that into a schedule. Then I know, and I'm expecting, nothing comes from surprise. I know there's going to be things that come up that are going to be unstructured, right? So it's going to be some guy reaches out to me. Like, it literally happened last night. I took my wife to the Yankees game last night for her birthday, and like we're pulling into the parking lot by Yankee Stadium, and someone calls me, random number. I always pick up because it's probably a customer.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I just got engaged. My engagement party is coming up in, it was like 6, 7, 8 weeks, whatever it was. When can we schedule a fitting?" And I'm literally like pulling into the parking spot. So I'm like, okay, so I like to have between 6 and 8 weeks, whatever it is, to make a suit, right?
Okay.
So like we have to book this now. And I was going back and forth and trying to schedule a fitting, and I didn't like an hour before that when we left to the game. I didn't know who this guy was. I didn't know he was going to call me. So there's so many things that come up, and to, I guess, the classic saying, expect the unexpected, but to somewhat plan out the expected first. So you have like some sort of foundation, and then, giving yourself that there, you could give yourself grace to kind of say, okay, things are going to come up. How do we schedule around it? That's for the business. Religiously. So the way I see it is, obviously, we're lucky as religious Jews. We have a built-in structure. We have Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv, right? So whether you're davening with a minyan or not davening with a minyan, if you daven 3 times a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once at night, you automatically have some sort of religious structure built in, right? So there's 3 times where you're stopping what you're doing and you're connecting to God, built in, which is great. Aside from the fact that it's an absolute blessing that we can even daven to Hashem, but on top of that, we're lucky because it's easy structure if you stick to it, right? So that's my start. That's how I put my start. Okay, I'm davening 3 times a day, whether with a minyan, without a minyan. That's everyone's own personal, decision. And then within that, it's where can I set aside some time? Not, it doesn't have to be time stamped, although it's probably better to do it that way. But where can I set aside some time to just connect with Hashem? Whether that be through learning a sefer, or listening to a shir, or having a chavrusa, or just sitting and thinking, turning everything off and just thinking, kind of like a mini Shabbos, and structuring that into your day at some point. Right. That's the way I look at it as someone. I wish I could learn, a chavrusa every night, but the reality is that 3 nights a week, I'm on daddy duty for, until my kid goes to sleep, and then after that, I can't go anywhere. So if a chavrusa wants to come to me, great, but I haven't really found someone that wants to do that, and I don't blame them. Your apartment isn't the best place to meet for a chavrusa. You want to go to Beis Medrash, totally valid. So you do your best. You set aside as much structure as you can. and it's not just fit in, because that makes it seem like it's secondary. You prioritize time where that's going to be your time, and then based on your unexpected schedule, you have to dodge a little bit and make it work.
I think it has to do with priorities too. I think that if you were to say, I'm prioritizing spending time with my son or my child, or I'm prioritizing helping my wife, watch the kids over 15 minutes of learning a sefer. Most people wouldn't, say that, that's an issue, because when you phrase it as this is more important or less important, you can be right or wrong as to whether it's objectively more or less important. I think it's hard. I think you probably know, you probably feel it. So that's what I think. I think it's easy to fall into, like, how could I not learn right now? Like, maybe I should like ask my wife, like, oh, please, like, let me just have like extra time to learn. And there's time for that. I think it's important. Like, I think if you're definitely like, there's no learning at all, and I think there's a space that you can speak to your spouse and ask, can I have some time for myself, for like 10, 15 minutes, like literally Shnaya Mikra, Musar, whatever it is. Or maybe not even learning, like maybe just like being present. It's very easy to say, like, how could I do that? How could I possibly do that? Like, but if you say this is a priority, I think it kind of reshapes it reshapes it for you in a way that you're more content about it. That's what I think.
100%, 100%. And one other really important point that I just remembered is the biggest bracha Hashem gave us, in my opinion, aside from our lives and our neshama, is Shabbos.
For sure, yeah.
Shabbos is, I remember growing up, and my parents are hard workers, and they were always very busy with work. Obviously, they work 9 to 5s, but I remember always hearing adults saying, "Oh, thank God it's Shabbos." And I'm like, thank God it's Shabbos. I can't watch the Yankees game. I can't watch the Giants, not the Giants, because that's Sunday. I can't watch whatever it was, and I can't go out with my friends. I enjoyed Shabbos because it was a day off from school, and I was able to hang out with my friends. But I didn't appreciate Shabbos for what it really is. So like now that I'm working and I'm busy, Shabbos is like my best friend. Where I can like not think about anything. No suit fittings, no deliveries, no packages coming in, zero, and I can learn. It's like I'm able to learn. I can spend time with my kid, and I don't have to balance anything. I don't have to balance like work, kid, family, learning. It's family and learning
I
and
think the
rest.
funniest thing about Shabbos, especially for people who are pursuing a career that is meaningful to them, like we'll get to it soon. Why you pursued custom suits as a business. I'm assuming you're really passionate about it. I'm very passionate about video. So like, but even then, the funny thing about Shabbos is that like, oh, I have a break from that. I have a break from work. But like, why? Why? If it's meaningful, if you're enjoying it, if you're enjoying your work, then um, then why? Oh, 1 second. Whoops. Then why is Let me close my WhatsApp. I'm gonna have to cut this out of the video.
All good, all good.
I forgot
Let
to
me
do
take a
that.
quick drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me leave a marker here just so I know. You can actually mark the clip. Okay, perfect.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. I was saying it's funny how Shabbos works, because it said it like, oh, I have a break from doing this. But what do you mean? Like, I thought this is meaningful for you. I thought you were enjoying your work. I thought this is you decided to pursue a career that is fundamentally different from anything else, and it's specific to you. It's specific to your passion. It's specific to your talent and skills. Oh, I need a break. And that's interesting to think about, because um, if if you derive all of your meaning from your work, then you would just work all the time. You wouldn't need Shabbos. The fact that I think we need and we need Shabbos shows us that even if you're pursuing something meaningful, even if you're pursuing something that you deeply enjoy, there's still a space where there's a reminder that there's something more to it. There's something deeper to life, and whether that's being present, at any religious level. It could just be being present with your family, you know. So I don't know. What's your ideal Shabbos? I'm curious.
My ideal Shabbos is a few things. I would say both regarding what I do during Shabbos and then how I feel after Shabbos. So
Interesting.
going,
Okay, I
yeah,
like that.
so going into Shabbos, I like to feel like physically closing my laptop, physically turning off my phone, and just like breathing.
There's nothing worse than going into Shabbos like you're in the 18 minutes and you're still doing stuff,
Yeah,
or like
no,
right
no
beforehand,
joke.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had Shabbosim where like I had a suit that like needed to get done for a wedding like Monday, that
Yeah.
coming Monday, and it wasn't like fully finished yet. So like those Shabbosim are not super pleasant, and I try so hard to avoid it. It happens every now and then,
Yeah.
but for the most part, it's closing my laptop, shutting off my phone, and just being like, huh, that's it. 24 hours right now, uninterrupted, right? And that's how I like going in.
Okay.
Then once Shabbos starts, I feel Friday night for me is usually just spending time with my wife, right? Because my kid is usually, I mean, when it's the winter time, Shabbos will start earlier, but at least during the summer, Shabbos starts later. My kid's already sleeping. We just enjoy Shabbos, spend time together. No, I got to run here to this fitting. I got to run there. Nothing. No night shift. Just spending time. Shabbos day, I love just learning, eating, spending time with family. That's my Shabbos. I very rarely get to nap. Uh, I used to be a big Shabbos napper. I still nap every now and then,
All
but
right.
not super super often.
It depends on how the week goes.
Um, right, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, so yeah, so I mean, it's going to davening, being relaxed, being able to focus, learning a little bit, Shnai Mikra, some a parish on the Parsha. My wife is the great great granddaughter of Rav Elia Lopian,
Oh wow, I had
who
no idea.
has yeah. So he has an amazing parish on the Parsha. It's a collection of his Musar Shmuzim on each week. So that's my go-to Shabbos read, not read Shabbos learn Shabbos Steig. So I'll do that. I'll learn that sefer. Um, you know, have a nice kiddush, a nice lunch, chill, play with the baby, um, learn a little bit more, and just relax. If I could catch an nap, great. If not, not. But the biggest thing is after Shabbos. So a great Shabbos to me is where I make Havdalah, and like it's gonna sound like cliche. Not cliche. It's gonna sound weird, but like I like when I finish Havdalah, or if I'm at my parents or my in-laws, whatever it is, where like Shabbos ends and like I don't feel like a wave of like everything I left Friday coming back onto me Motzei Shabbos. Does that make sense? Like,
I feel that because that's every single Motzei Shabbos for me. It's
right.
really
Yeah,
bad.
it's unavoidable, but there are so like the best Shabbosim I have
Yeah.
where it's like I don't feel that. And like yeah, Shabbos is over, but like yeah, I got people I got to respond to. I got emails, packages coming in, packages going out, whatever it may be. But like I don't feel that just like oh like that's it's like literally like a tsunami of just like everything I put on pause coming rushing back. Like let's save
Mhm.
that for Sunday. Let's save it for Monday, right? So that's my Shabbos.
I was reading.
That's my go-to.
I was reading this really interesting thing in the Sefer. It's the Bedarach Sefer by Rabbi Juno Shell. One of the chapters is titled Hatzlacha Bisman. I don't know if you read it through or not.
I've never read it, but yeah, I've heard of it.
It's a
Yeah.
great read. It's a great Sefer. Um, and in short, he basically breaks down what productivity and using your time most efficiently means as a Jew. And he tells a story of, I believe, yeah, it's the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and everyone knew about the Rebbe that he was like always busy, like he was answering, he was responding to letters, meeting with people, in addition to being the Rebbe. Like he was doing all of these things, facilitating this, the shluchim system, whatever whatever it's called specifically. I'm sure I'm butchering it. So someone asked him, how is it possible how is it possible that you're able to do all these things? Like, it's like literally impossible to, like, I don't understand it. And he said the secret is that whatever I'm doing, I'm doing it fully. And in that, I think it's in that same chapter, or perhaps the one before. It's actually it's a lyrics of one of the newer Zisha songs, Imani Kana Kolkan,
Mm-hmm.
Imani Kana Kolkan, or that one. Um, so that what they say in, like, about that thing is like, what do you mean? Like, if I'm here, everyone's here. Like, that's a weird, like, thing to say. And it just means, no, if I'm Imani Khan, if I'm here, Hakol Khan, I'm fully here and I'm fully present. So what productivity means for a frum Jew is understanding that God put me in this place here right now. There is nothing else I need to worry about. There's nothing else I need to think about. Maybe in 3-4 minutes I will, but there is no utility in doing two things at once, right? It's like the classic line about multitasking is that if you're working on two things, you're working on nothing.
That's
And
right.
it's 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 such a punch in the gut for like entrepreneurs, because it's like, well, when am I going to have all this time to do all these things? I have marketing strategies I want to implement. I have events that I want to attend to. I have people I want to meet, and I have this, all these business goals. How am I going to have time for all of it? So like that was like an interesting perspective. Maybe you have some thoughts on it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was going to say that especially in business, I mean, this is something that I struggle with massively because it's just me running my business.
Right.
So when you try to do too much, you do nothing,
Yeah, and I'm
right?
on the same
So,
page as you. Yeah, we're both
right,
one man
there you
shows. Yeah.
go. Exactly. So that's my biggest struggle. So a lot of times I'll find myself trying to do a bunch of things at once, and then I realize, like, let me stop, because everything I'm doing, I'm not doing the best version of, and I'm going to be upset that I did all of them poorly.
Exactly.
And it applies in life too. So, like, even as a father, as a parent, as a husband, if you're trying to be a husband while trying to work at the same time, I'm saying, right? You'll end up not being the best husband, and you'll not end up doing the best work.
It's true.
So setting times of, I'm working now, I'm a husband then. I'm working now, I'm a father then. I'm a father then. Being a father and a husband is maybe a little bit closer. You can kind of
Sure.
do both of those. But even still, like, you know, even just a mindset thing, at least in my situation. So, there are times where, my wife asked me to do something, but there's also something, that I have to do with my son. So it's like, they both have to get done. What are you doing first? What do that kind of thing. So yeah, 100%. It's a great idea.
Cool. I want to quickly just talk about like your why you pursued suit. So I guess maybe it's a bit of a rundown of your story. Maybe we can. I want to see if we can tie it in somehow to the broader conversation. But it's definitely an
Yeah.
interesting. So I'm sure it's a really interesting story, and I'd love to have it in the show.
Yeah, 100%. So, I was one of the first friends in my friend group to get married. I got married almost 3 years ago, and I was always a big fashion guy. I was always that guy in high school. I bought and sold sneakers. I was like that kind of kid. Um, Always had a knack for it. It was just a thing. But it was never a priority in my life. It was more just like one of my hobbies that I enjoyed doing, and I spent way too much money on in high school. That was the way I viewed fashion in general.
Okay.
I was never a big suit guy in the sense that, like, I didn't care about the physical part of the suit. I cared how it looked. So I would always wear flashy suits on Shabbos, whatever. Then I got married. So when I was looking for a wedding suit, my father said, "Hey, as a gift, as one of the gifts of, paying for a wedding, I'll get you a custom suit for your wedding." I'm like, great. I never even like really. I knew what a custom suit was, but I never cared for it ever. I could not care less. In my opinion, if I was spending $1,000 on a piece of clothing, I would buy, you know, two pairs of Ferragamo shoes or three pairs of Ferragamo shoes and over an $1,000 suit. That was just the way I thought. So I'm like, okay. So we went to a suit place, which I'm not going to name. Great place. People love it there. Even the person that made my specific suit, great guy. I know him personally. Especially now that I'm in the business, I know him personally. But I did not love how it came out. And it's to no fault on their end. I just felt like I didn't articulate exactly what I wanted the suit to look like and how I wanted it to fit. I did feel like a little bit like they were dictating how it should look against what I wanted it to look like. But I get, like, now that I'm in the industry, I would never want to put anyone down. It's totally not, no negative thoughts or feelings towards them. But when I got my wedding suit, it was good. It was fine. It was nice. I didn't love it. I really didn't love it. But the biggest thing for me was I had to drive like an hour each way to each fitting. And it takes a bunch of fittings to make a proper custom suit. So I'm just like, this is crazy. I'm spending $1,000+ on a suit. I have to drive to the fittings. I didn't love how it came out. So like, I kind of just like kept that in my back pocket of just like that feeling. I always wanted to run my own business. I'm just like, I like fashion. Like, this could be something down the road. Who knows? Then I was speaking to a good friend of mine. I'll give him a shout out, Moshe Heller.
Of course.
Friend
He's
of
for sure
friend
going to
of
be
the
on the
podcast.
Yeah, he's for sure going to be on soon.
Exactly. Yeah. So shout out Moshe Heller. I remember I was speaking with him, and he's like, "Oh, I told him about this whole suit thing, whatever." He's like, "Oh, by the way, Avi Proctor, another friend of the podcast, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
Avi Proctor was on his honeymoon in Thailand, and he told me the story how he met this guy that made custom suits, and Avi was going to start a business making custom suits for cheap, but he never ended up doing it. Reach out to Avi." So we were both mutual friends with Avi Proctor. I was super close with him from high school.
Of course.
So I reached out to him. I'm like, "Hey, what's this story that I'm hearing? I really want to do this." And he's like, "Yeah," told me the whole back and forth. He met him on the middle of the street in Thailand. I think it's Phuket, Thailand. And we started working on this business, and Avi and I. So we actually fast forward many, many months of learning about custom suits. That was kind of like an eye opener to me. It was kind of like a humbling experience. So I'm just like, yeah, like, I'll start a business. I'll start designing suits. Like, I'll figure it out. But then I realized, like, custom suits like takes a lot of skill and measuring and understanding how bodies work and the shapes and draping this. It's like a whole thing.
Did you know anything about that at this time?
No, I knew zero.
Okay, fine.
I literally knew zero. So I did it the wrong way. It ended up working out, thank God. But I did it the wrong way of just like making a whole bunch of suits really poorly, but learning from each one what the mistake was. And then also consulting with a tailor on what I did wrong. And eventually, thank God, I got the hang of it. But Avi and I started the business together, Noble Custom Suits. And we started off offering cheaper custom suits. Kind of the way I thought of it was start cheap, make a ton of mistakes, learn, get good,
Low stakes.
yeah, and then charge more. So, and that's exactly what happened. My most expensive suit in the beginning, I think, was $650, and now my cheapest suit is like $675.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a great learning experience. A lot of people reach out to me on LinkedIn, saying that they want to start a custom suit business, and like if I have any pointers for them, and like I literally say, like, don't do what I did. Like, that's my number one advice. Don't do what I did. Take the time to learn before you start making suits. That was my simple answer. And then fast forward, so I was making suits in YU. I was balancing getting married and being a new husband and starting the business and then classes and cheer. And then after YU, Avi made Aliyah. So that kind of just like separated us on business terms. We're still super close friends. We talk all the time. But now it's just me. And I've been doing it full time now. So I switched manufacturing from Thailand. Those were lower end stuff. I now have a much higher end, suit construction, designer fabrics, things like that. And yeah, that's how the business started.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you find, I guess, so passionate? Why do you think you're so passionate about it?
So my business model, not business model, I would say if you want to summarize what my goal is to offer to my clients is obviously you'll get an amazing suit. It'll last you a long time. It'll fit great. But what I want the most is first, because most people don't like wearing suits. It's like a
Yeah, I hate
thing.
wearing suits.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. I really don't blame you. As someone that wears suits almost every day to fittings. So most people don't like suits, number one, because they don't fit well. But number two, it's every suit looks the same off the rack,
Yeah.
right? Most people, like, if you go to, I'm not going to say any store names, but all the classic store names in Teaneck, Five Towns, whatever it is, it's all the suits are the same. Okay, change out blue, navy for black, and change out, two buttons to a double-breasted. Fine, like that's a little different, but
Right.
in general, they're all the same concept,
Yeah.
right? So I love seeing my clients like opening the fabric books and just being like, I can make something that actually speaks to me. And like, there's so many options that I like when they try on the suit, you could see it's like a different reaction than trying on a regular suit. Like, cause they designed it, they did everything. And that was how I felt also when I made my first suit for my wedding, which I didn't love, is like, I wasn't able to fully reflect myself in how I wanted it to look. Partly on my end and partly on their end. They kind of corrected me in certain ways. But I unless a customer picks out something that's I know they're not going to like, and I'll gently try to explain to them why I don't think it's a good idea. But most of the time, I really let my client do everything, and like I just guide them, right? So like they say they want this, even if I wouldn't personally wear it. Like I even posted today on LinkedIn a jacket and a waistcoat that I made for a customer, not a Jewish customer. And it's a crazy fabric. I had it like privately sourced. It's like a blue and green with like a paisley. It's insane. It's crazy. I would personally not wear it, but I love it because that's the exact thing that he wanted. And he was so excited. And he hasn't even tried it on yet. When he tries it on, the reaction is it's going to be like bliss. It's going to be amazing. I genuinely can't wait for that fitting because it's such a wild fabric. It's a one of one. But so I want everyone to have their own suit. That's my biggest passion behind it, is I want you to be able to reflect your personality and your life and your lifestyle and your taste into what you wear. And it'll fit perfect and you'll feel amazing and it'll last you a long time. The fabrics will feel great. But it's more than that, because you could go to a Laura Piana store and buy an off the rack suit for $4,000, whatever it is, and the fabric's going to feel amazing, but you didn't design it, right? So it's a mixture of everything. But the biggest thing is like people feel proud to wear what they design.
This might be a little personal, but I'm going to ask it anyways. And if you don't want to say, well, we'll just move on to another question. But
Sure.
that is a really interesting passion, is like, I want for other people, I want for my clients that they can feel uniquely themselves, that they can feel like they can wear something that reflects maybe their inside or like their unique personality. Is there something about you that maybe this is like a tikkun almost, like kind of like I'm doing this because like maybe I myself have like struggled with like a certain I know for myself like I kind of feel the same way. I don't know, maybe I might be shot in the dark. I'm just curious.
Yeah. That's a great question. It's a great question. I wouldn't say it's a tikkun for that, because I can wear whatever I want to wear. I do think it's more about seeing other people unhappy with
Mm,
what they wear.
got it.
I again, like for myself, right? So I live in a frum community. Regardless of how much we say it's not true, that we're open people, if you walk into shul wearing a yellow suit, people are going to look at you,
Where's
right?
the monkey?
Exactly. So like I personally wouldn't wear a yellow suit, but it's an extreme example. But like there are some things that I would like consider wearing that I'm like hesitant to design for myself. Like I just designed for myself for the fall season coming up, like a dark brown suit. I've never owned a brown suit in my life. Ever. Never owned a brown suit. And like I pushed it off. I wanted to make it last winter and I'm like, nah, I'll go with the navy instead. Right. So like this suit I made, this is like a more heavyweight flannel, like Italian flannel. So like I was gonna go with like a brown pinstripe. And I'm like, I'll go with the blue pinstripe. Right. I'm like, it's just safer. It's a
Right.
safer play. But like now I'm like, no, I want to make that brown herringbone suit. So I'm going to make that brown herringbone suit. So it's on the way, so like, there are certain things that I hold back, but I don't think it's a tikkun I was never held back from wearing what I wanted to wear.
Cool.
I mean, I was that kid wearing a Kanye West Yeezy hoodie and shoes
Good,
to
yeah.
school. Yeah, exactly. I regret it now, but
Yeah.
back then it was like, and I didn't care. It said his nickname was Yeezus,
Yeah, I remember that.
as in a playoff of Jesus.
Yeah, I remember
So,
that.
but I wore it to TABC. I'm just like, hey, like, it's a cool hoodie. It's Yeezy. Like, Yeezy was the hottest thing back then.
It
So,
was. I remember that.
like, I was never held back for it's, it's not like that situation where like I grew up in like a ultra Orthodox community and I wanted to break free. It's none of that.
Yeah.
I think it's more just I love seeing people's reactions to putting on their suit that they designed. It's like the most amazing thing. It's a little bit less with customers that have made custom suits before because they know the drill, but for
Right.
first time
First
customers,
time, yeah, for sure.
oh, it's the best. It's the
You
best.
you touched on something really interesting, like the example of like walking into shul with the yellow suit, and it speaks to like this broader like existential, I guess, experience of being an entrepreneur. I talk about this a lot actually, and I think about this a lot, and I think I'm interested in hearing your perspective on it. That you and I both pursued a non-traditional career path, um, in like the high, like in a pretty high sense. There's not a lot of people. There are a fair amount of videographers and video producers. I don't. There's not a lot of people who are doing what you're doing. I think you're pursuing a really unique path and you're making it work, which is awesome. Um, but like it definitely can feel lonely in that sense. Not regretting. I don't regret any decision I made. I don't. I'm very happy I didn't get I mean, I did get a 4-year degree, but I didn't do it in the traditional sense. I did it online at an accelerated pace, so I can just continue just doing what I love. Um, but can you speak to that experience of doing something that, like, I'm sure that exactly how this feels like. Of you're hanging out with your friends and like, oh, I have an internship at Deloitte, and I have an what's the other one? PNC, I forget.
PWC.
PwC. Oh my god. See, I'm like so like momish, like it's like not shy to me at all. But I'm saying like, oh, I'm doing that. Oh, becoming an accountant. Oh, I'm a doctor, medical school, and I'm like, I run a business. I'm making it work, but like there's this immediate like, oh, like good luck with that. Like that makes
Yeah.
no sense. Like
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
Yeah. So it's actually funny. So there are times where the only thing that I am jealous of my friends that have corporate jobs is the financial stability, right? Where it's like you don't have to work for your food in the sense of obviously you have to work, but like what's coming, right? You have that signed salary, you know exactly every month what's coming in. You don't have to do anything extra more than it's it. You work, you show up to work, you leave, you get paid.
It's done for you.
Right. So that is the one thing at times I'm just like, that would be nice. I'm never just like, oh, that's it, I'm done. But like, I'm like, yeah, that would be pretty nice. But then there are other times where I'll get together with my friends. There was one time I remember I got together with a bunch of friends that are all working in like the same two like big accounting firms. It was like EY and PwC, one of those two. And they were smack in the middle of busy season. And they were talking nonstop about how hard it was and the crazy hours and they had to stay till 11 o'clock at night and then they had to Uber home and they got to go back the next morning at 7 a.m. whatever it was. And I'm just sitting there like yeah, like I would quit. Like I would quit, like and they have that stability and there's that corporate ladder if they want to climb it. And there's almost not guarantee you have to work hard and do well, but there's almost that like the ladder's there. Like if you work hard for 15 to 20 years, you will be an executive at somewhere and you will be a partner and you'll be making, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is great. It's great. It's great. Like for most people, that's what it is. And that's what it should be. And for me, there is no ladder. It's how far can I take it?
Correct.
Like it's up to me,
You're in charge. Yeah.
Yeah. So no one's going to do it for me. No one's going to promote me. I have to promote myself and promote my business. So it's on and off. I do feel though, of recent, last couple of years, there's this boom in glorifying entrepreneurship, due to some amazing personalities online. Alex Hormozy,
Alex Emunah,
legend,
it's my go-to.
legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a legend. Sometimes I don't agree with him, but for the most part, a legend.
Yeah.
Um, Dan Martell, he's a big, big, big personality. Also, I love him. And, you know, there is this glorifying of like start your own business and build it up and scale. Most businesses fail. That's number one. But, there's also, I feel like there's this not untruthful, but more just like a facade, a fake glory of running a business, of starting your own business. That like it's like everyone makes fun of these people on social media. Like I'm 19 years old and I started a business from zero to $100,000 monthly in revenue. Here's my list
But,
of my program.
buy my my
Exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like those people ruin it for everyone because it
Mm,
gives people false hope, and like it just makes the whole entrepreneurship scene just like ugly. But
yeah.
like there's real pluses and minuses to it. So there are times where I feel great because like look at me, I'm sitting in my house right now. It's 3 p.m. You're sitting at your house right now. It's 3 p.m. Right? So like this is great. I was able to spend time with my kid this morning, not rushing to work because I knew my fittings were pushed off to tomorrow. I was able to get stuff done today. Tomorrow's going to be crazy busy, and it might be more busy than, some guy working a corporate job. But that's the trade-off,
My
you
favorite
know?
line on entrepreneurship is I quit my 24 sorry, I butchered that. My favorite line on entrepreneurship is I quit my 9 to 5 to start my own business and now I work 24/7.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
the
No, it's
reality.
true.
That's the
It's
reality.
true. Yeah, yeah. That's the whole thing.
That's the MS. But
Yeah.
you wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for sure.
I definitely wouldn't trade it. I mean, there are so many things that I get to enjoy that I wouldn't necessarily be able to enjoy. I
It's the
never have to call out
flexibility.
from work. Yeah, I know you never have to call out from work. You have to be
Yeah.
responsible about it. But like, I get to be home with my kid. I get to pick him up and drop him off, at babysitting. Like,
Yeah.
it's great. I love it.
I think Emunah plays a huge role in entrepreneurship. I think
Oh yeah,
I think people who are running their own businesses or companies or whatever, like doing their own show, Emunah is a completely different like term to them. It's a reality. It's not like an idea. It could exist. Someone if your company's downsizing, let's say, or that there there's certain things that maybe would lead for you to lose that consistency or that caveus of having your own job. That Emunah is definitely a role there, and obviously Emunah is not just a business thing. It's a life thing. But I think when it comes to Parnasa, it's like it's a whole nother level.
yeah,
Do you
big time.
feel were there moments in your business where like you felt like I have to completely rely on Hashem, or do you feel like you were pretty like careful throughout, or like did you take big risks? Like any stories there?
Oh, all the time. All the time. It happens. I wouldn't say it happens too often. I don't want to say it happens too often, but it happens really, it's not like an occasional thing. Um, I remember when I was in YU, I was in a business strategy class or entrepreneurial strategy class with Professor Finkel. Shout out to Professor Finkel. He's a
Was that
legend.
Mark Finkel?
It is.
Okay, cool.
He's a legend. One of the best professors in YU, in my
Okay.
opinion. Um, so we had these case studies that we had to read, and I believe they were written by the dean of Sci Sims, but I don't want to misquote. But there is it's basically like a story, and you have to analyze it. So there was a story of an entrepreneur that was dealing with hardships in the business and life, whatever, and the story ended with him in his own bathroom, curled up on the floor in a fetal position. And it became this thing that I always remembered because it's like every entrepreneur has their lying in the bathroom on the floor in a fetal position moment
For
or
sure.
moments where you're just like, there's nothing I can do. Like, there's literally nothing I can do. I am stuck, right? I am stuck in my own human power to do something or to get things done or to wait, whatever it is. So, and I love using that story because like it's such a good visualization of what an entrepreneur feels like when they feel like they're just like at a big roadblock. Like you just want to lie on your bathroom floor in a fetal position and just stop, you know? So like that, so in those situations, it's all Emunah, right? So it started from, you know, the first time I had that kind of a situation where I remember it. It was I made a wedding suit and I accidentally, there's like fabric codes for each fabric. And for the
Okay.
lining inside the jacket, I put in the wrong code by one number and I didn't realize. And I get the suit back and and I didn't even notice it when I got the suit back. I just assumed that was because I never made that mistake.
Right.
He tries on the suit. He's like, "This is the wrong lining." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah."
Your heart
He's like, "I
probably like
wanted this one,"
stopped.
and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" And your wedding's in like 3 weeks, and like I froze in panic. Like after he left, I just like freaked out, and like it was the first time I remember where I'm just like, Hashem, whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna send in the order for the new jacket, the new lining. If it comes, amazing. If it doesn't, there's nothing I can do. And like it sounds like so easy to say now, but like even then, like even when I said that to myself, I was still freaking out.
Of
But
course.
like but it was such an important moment for me because thank God it did actually come through and
Nice.
everything was okay. Thank God. It literally like the suit came in like 2 days before I was able to get it in, pressed, ready for him to wear. Thank God. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. I'll never forget that moment. But I've had so many of those situations after, even now, you know, where I'm not making the code mistakes, but like there's things like just like tight windows. This isn't fitting well. That isn't fitting well. I can't figure it out. Like even with the business, like I'm like right now I'm in a position where my business is profitable. I'm paying my bills. I'm living, but I want to grow it. And every time I sit down to think about how I could scale this business, I can't figure it out. Right? Like there's so many different possibilities, but like each one, like I don't know. It's just like that's like right now that's my biggest issue of scaling. Right? So like I just stopped freaking out about it. I'm just like, God, I'm going to start working on scaling this business. I don't know if this is the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it, but I'm just going to start doing it. And I might lose money. I might make money. I might grow the business. I might totally flop the business. But like I have to. This is what I have to do.
Right.
So yeah, Emunah is everything because you realize how little is in your control. As an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, and sorry, last point. I'm sorry,
No, no, no. Yeah, do
I'm
it.
running on this because this is it's such a good topic. As an entrepreneur, but as a business owner, right? And I see this very often in non-Jewish related conversations about leadership. When you are running a business, especially if you have employees, I don't have any employees. I have like some part-time people that help me, but when you have like full-time employees, your whole life is control, right? Not even if you're a good leader, not in a bad sense of like controlling, but you are a boss. You are in control of how
Right.
things go, right? And when you do that so often, like then you're in your brain, everything's in your control, right? And when things don't work out because you're a human being, you're just like, I stink. I'm terrible, you know? So I think that's a huge thing also of like how little is in your control, right? So even in suit terms, let's say, right? So I take perfect measurements, the drape is beautiful, but let's say the tailor accidentally adds or takes away an inch of a fabric, right? It
Okay.
should never happen, and it really doesn't happen. But when you think about it, like it's a human error. It's not the craziest thing, you know. Like, and then the whole thing's thrown off, right? So like nothing's in your control. The whole thing you saw with the shipping containers that fell off the boat this week. There was like 100 of these massive shipping containers fell off of a cargo ship on the West Coast.
I haven't seen it, but that sounds awful.
Hundreds of thousands, probably millions of
Millions
dollars of
for
damage,
sure. Yeah.
right? So like, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure those companies have insurance and whatnot, but like when you think about it, like for me, like things get shipped. Like, what if a suit goes missing, right? And the wedding's in 3-4 weeks. Thank God, B'li Ayin Hara, it's never happened. But like, there's so many situations where I'm just like, I can't do anything about anything. So you just do your best. You have faith. You stay from. You believe. You daven, and good things happen. And if it doesn't go great, Gamzula Tova, keep on moving. And it's a lot easier said than done. But if you can do it, it makes your life much easier.
This is something I've been thinking about a lot, is that every time I think of the idea of relying on Hashem, this concept of Emunah and Bitachon, when it comes to business, I always think to myself, yeah, but like, what if there's more to it? You can like, not, in the non-Jewish world, this is not a thing. Like, they don't have this concept of Emunah. I mean, I'm saying not at Christians. I'm saying like, in terms of like the normal business setting, like maybe yes, there is. I'm sure there is actually. But like not like in Judaism, this full on reliance. Like there, it's like everything is strategic, everything is like planned, and like the hustler, like Alex Hormozy style, of like just do more and you just do this. Like you like don't rely on anyone, don't rely on anything, just like do it. Like there's solutions for your problems. There's truth to it, but like I'm always thinking like, is Emunah really it? And then I realize that there's a kid screaming in the background. I realized that in the non-Jewish world, they don't have Emunah, but they have a concept called luck. This is interesting. One second.
I love it.
This is interesting. In Steve Jobs, the biography for Steve Jobs, they talk, and Steve Jobs is probably hands down one of the most successful entrepreneurs to have ever existed. For sure, top 10. And he, like the stories that like you see and you read about, and you realize like, if one thing didn't happen the way it happened, we wouldn't have iPhones today. Like Steve Jobs, if Steve Jobs' father was not, I'm gonna butcher it, but he was like some kind of electrical engineer or some kind of engineer. Like he's very into building things. And the biography talks about how Steve like learned from his father and was inspired by his father to like be very into technology and engineering, and computers also, and like wiring and all this like interesting like meticulous stuff. And you think to yourself like if he didn't, or if he didn't meet his partner, is the co-founder of Apple, like a million of these stories, and it doesn't just apply to Steve. So that reminds me like, oh, like that's just our concept of Emunah, but like maybe a little bit more developed, maybe a little bit more nuanced. We don't believe in luck, we believe everything is up to God. So for those who maybe are listening and are thinking like Emunah is like a cheap cop out of solving your business problems, it's not. Like everyone, Jewish or not, experiences and feels the same way towards you. And sometimes things work out, sometimes things don't. I'm not sure what God's relationship is in terms of business when it comes to non-Jews. I'm sure everything is kind of, all part of a master plan. But like I don't know. That's an interesting thing that I've been thinking about a lot.
Yeah. So like you mentioned Alex Hormozy. So the way I look at his stuff is everything he's saying is right. Everything he's saying is right. You do have to do more, and you
For
have to
sure.
hustle. And honestly, even the part about not trusting. So he mainly talks about not trusting people, right? So it's really true, right? Don't blindly. I saw his post, I think this week. Don't blindly trust someone, even if you're close with them, or don't trust someone just because they gave you money, whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
All true. But there's one very important foundation that's missing. So it's starting from the bottom foundation, believe in God. And that everything you do above that foundation, no matter how hard you work, no matter what you do and how successful you are, it's all because of the foundation, right? If there's no strong foundation, the whole house comes crumbling down. So you believe in God. Next, everything Alex Hormozy says, great. It's true. Don't trust people. Work harder. Put in more hours. Don't procrastinate. Don't waste your time. and then every other, guru's tips and tricks, all true, Jewish, not Jewish, all true. But the foundation is what's missing. It's that all of that you do is totally based on your faith in God and
Right.
totally based on what God wills you to do, right?
I
So
think there's something
that's the way I see
deeper.
it.
When it comes to Alex, there's something deeper. I've also been thinking about like he gives off this vibe of like I've got everything figured out, which is obviously not always the case. Like if you listen to his story, like he really
Yeah.
he failed several times to get to where he's at now. But I noticed this from looking at other entrepreneurial friends of mine. I won't mention them by name, who idolize Alex Hormozy, and the I would never like argue with Alex Hormozy about business. Who am I to like say like, oh, actually you're wrong? Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know anything, especially like I'm saying compared to you. But and this I'm almost certain I've heard him say it in some context. If anyone's listening and I'm butchering it, like comment below, whatever. That like business is everything for him. We touched on this earlier in this episode that um like there is nothing else that is meaningful in his life other than his pursuit of being successful in business. There are other things. I'm sure he has tremendous success, a meaning in helping others. That's why he gives up all this free content and stuff. But and I know that for my friends who listen to him a lot, and like he gives great business advice, but like I wouldn't want his life. I wouldn't. I prioritize different things than he prioritizes. So it's like work harder, do all these things, and you can get an outcome of making millions of dollars a year. Awesome. What is the spiritual and religious cost of that? No one talks about. You know?
Yeah. And by the way, and I don't think he would want you to have his life either.
Yeah,
I
and he
think that's
says
also
that,
an important. Yeah. Like
which is
I
great.
think. Yeah. So that's why I do like him, and I'm not a religious follower of any business guru. Honestly, I kind of just like casually watch videos or read their stuff, but that's why I do like him. I feel like, in a lot of these guys, is they don't want you to do what they do. They don't want you to have their life. They have been very successful, and they're sharing what has helped them get successful. But then it's your life, and it's your business, and it's up to you how you take it, which I think is nice. So I think you can take anyone's guidance and anyone's you know instructions and information, and you can channel it into a from way of doing it. You just have to do it.
I agree. What do you think? What do you think living a balanced life as an Orthodox Jew means?
A balanced life.
Not to paint you
So
as neither of us are the experts, but I want to maybe hear what does balanced mean to you?
yeah, so it's every time I think of the word balance, I think of a friend of mine. Uh, I'm not going to name drop him, but he knows exactly who he is. He like makes this joke about balance. He goes like balance. It's like a whole thing. It's like the thing that everyone says is like you have to find balance. So in real physical terms, balance is balancing something. So there's even weight on each side, kind of like a seesaw, and it balances when there's equal weight. That's not really balance in life, right? You're never going to have equal weight on each side of your life, on every side of your life. There's going to be priorities and there's going to be things that are not prioritized. The way I see balance for myself is where I have space to feel like I'm succeeding, both in my business, where I feel like I have time and I have focus and space to grow my business, to do well, to earn a parnasa for my family, to build a future for my family. Religiously, that's also a big part of the balance, right? Being able to feel like I'm growing religiously and I'm still close to Hashem, and that fire of Emunah is still there, where I never fall into the trap of saying everything's in my control, right? Putting aside learning and davening, that's also super, super important. But just like that feeling of just like, I am just one man. That's also super important to me. And then there's family, of being where I feel like my wife and my child and hopefully future children will feel like they had a father that was present, and they saw how hard I worked, but they also saw how hard I worked at being a father and not letting that take over everything. That's if anything, that's probably my number one priority over business, over Yiddishkeit, which is a crazy thing to say. But the most important thing to me is that where my wife and my kids feel like that was my number one priority. That's what I want them to feel like, that they were my number one priority, and that any work I did in my business was for them. Any work that I did as a frum Jew was in the general sense. Obviously, there's personal growth also, but the personal growth, even with that, is to get closer to Hashem and to influence them in a positive way and to bring them up in a positive way and to be a better husband in that way. So I think those are like the three pillars, I would say. And it's the classic three pillars: work, religion, and family. But in that sense, I would say family is number one, and then Yiddishkeit, and then business. Even though I spend so much time in the business, I would say it's the third most important thing.
Got it. All right, Aaron, we're approaching the end of the episode. I have one more question for you. Do you see your career as just a means of making money? Your business is just, this is what I'm doing, or do you see it as part of a larger mission of a Jew in this world?
So my biggest thing about what I do is I like to help people, right? People help others in different ways. So you're going to have the paramedic who saves someone's life. That's one very extreme way of helping someone. You're walking down the street and you hold the door open for someone, walking to the supermarket. That's another way of helping someone. So with what I do, I want to help people. So whether that is elevating their simcha, their wedding, where they feel like they have a beautiful suit and the lining on the inside is pictures of him and the kala, beautiful, right? So that's elevating someone's simcha. That's helping them, right? There's giving someone confidence where they feel like they never looked good in suits or they never looked good in their clothing, but giving them something that they look good in so they feel great walking out of the house and they have this new renewed sense of self. That's one of my favorite ways of helping people with my business. There's the helping someone just to have fun, like I've been in situations with clients where like they just seem like gray, like that, just like meh. But like then they have fun and they're excited and they text me like, hey, can't wait for the suit. Like even maybe I'm just imagining it. Maybe I'm not doing anything for them. But to me, I tell myself like I'm helping them enjoy something. I'm helping them have fun, to look forward to something. And then just helping people look good and feel good in general. Even if my client's a confident guy, he's happy, he's all set up, at least on the surface, what I know, right? Just improving their lives a little bit more, of just making them feel a little bit better, a little bit happier, a little bit more excited. That's my number one thing. Obviously, the financial part is important because that's how I keep my family going, right? But that only comes if clients and the people that I'm servicing are happy, right? That's what brings in the money, right? So I'm not just selling a product, although the finished product is the general thing of the suit, but I'm selling an experience. I'm selling a feeling of pride and comfort and excitedness, if that's a word. So that's what I do. That's what I care about. Yes, it's a means to pay for my bills and to put food on my table, but that only comes after what's most important.
Beautiful. Aaron Tuchman, founder and CEO of Noble Custom Suits. Where should someone go if they want the best suit ever?
Yes. So if you want to design a suit, a jacket, blazer, coat, pants, whatever it is, you can reach out to me directly through my website. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My website is noblecustomsuits.com. My LinkedIn is Aaron Tuchman, AARON TUCHMAN. Send me a message, comment on one of my posts. I'll reach out to you. I have an Instagram, also Noble Custom Suits. And that's it. That's how you reach me.
Aaron.
And you'll be speaking to me. You'll be speaking to me directly.
There we go.
No virtual, nothing. It's me.
There we go. Aaron, thank you so much for the time. This was awesome. And thank you everyone for listening. Enjoy. Have a good
Thank
one.
you. Thank you so much, Tzvi. This is great.
Awesome.